Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I want to say welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Today, we're going to talk about Aunt Jemima and Ben Stein. Ben Stein is a comedian who apparently got some pushback over some Aunt Jemima comments. And we're going to talk about what Ben Stein said about Aunt Jemima, but also talk about racism in America and how the politics of all of this causes you to miss the real racism and leads you to not talking about racism at all. So get comfortable, buckle up a seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. You guys know what we do here. We believe in Black intelligence. We believe in putting our people first. We believe in educating our kids. We believe in putting our families ahead of the curve. And that's the B1 philosophy. B1 stands for Black first. It doesn't mean you have to hate anybody. It just means you love yourselves. If you're Black and you love yourself, say yes in the chat. If you are B1, put a B1 in the chat. If you think it's okay for us to love Black people as much as we love white people, then put a yes in the chat. Give me a yes if you agree with what I'm saying here and if this makes sense to you. I want to say hello. I see Las Vegas and West Philly. And I was just in Philly, actually. Tacoma, Washington. I see you in there. Andre Terry's out of West Philly, and I Am Truth is out of Tacoma, Washington. Philly B1 says Shafiq. Let's see, Nadine Cooper Carter. Good morning from Atlanta. Good morning to you two sisters. God bless you. So good to see you. All right, so let me just cut to the chase. Let me just hop right in. Let's just get it cracking. All right. So first of all, good morning, and so let me ask you all this question. I like to ask questions. I'm like a little bit like an attorney in that regard. Not a real attorney. I just played one on TV. And I like to start off by asking questions to help us get to the core of an issue. How many of you heard about this controversy with Ben Stein? How many of you even know who Ben Stein is or heard about the Aunt Jemima controversy and some comments that Stein made about Aunt Jemima? I'm going to read them to you in a minute. So if you don't know the comments, then that's okay. I will catch you up. But give me a yes in the chat if you heard anything about the Aunt Jemima controversy. Apparently it was trending on Twitter. A lot of people were kind of talking about what Stein said and whether it was offensive or not. And I kind of want to jump in and share this with you because I think that there is a perspective that should be considered here. So Ben Stein is an old white comedian. Nobody really knows. A lot of people don't know who he is, to be honest with you. I mean, people do. He's been around for a while, but truth be told, he's not super relevant in that regard. But then again, though, hey, sometimes you say crazy stuff and people start paying attention to you. And so here's what happened with Stein. So apparently Stein made a comment during some video he was making, I guess apparently trying to be funny. And he was talking about how he eats breakfast for dinner. And he said, Aunt Jemima, yummy, yummy pancake syrup. And then he says, that I prefer it as a Black person showing their incredible skill at making pancakes. That was his last statement. I'm sorry. And he said, this used to show a large African-American woman chef, but because of the inherent racism of America's corporate culture, they decided to make it a white person or maybe no person at all, he continued. And then that's when he said, I prefer it as a Black person showing their incredible skill at making pancakes. Okay, so give me a yes if you think that. Well, first of all, let's ask if you thought it was funny. Do you think that his comment was funny, or do you think it was like offensive and ridiculous? I'd like to know that. Let me know. Type funny in the chat if you thought it was funny. Type not funny if you thought it was not funny. And also tell me how you feel. Racist. Do you think it was racist? Type racist if you think that what he said was racist. Or you can say not racist if you think that people are overreacting. I'm not here to tell you what to think. We don't do this on this platform. That's one thing that differentiates this space from the Democrat Republican nonsense that you see going back and forth. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm not here to tell you what to vote for. I'm not here to tell you any of that. I'm just here to lay out information so we can have a conversation. The only person I want you to vote for is you. The only person I want you voting for in every election is the Black community. The only team I want you representing is your team, whatever team you pick. So that's what freedom looks like. All right, so here's the deal. So somebody says, I'll get to the point. Well, we already got to the point. So if you want to leave, you can go ahead and go. You know the story. The story is that there's this controversy surrounding Ben Stein and his comments. And if you want to go, like, this is a good time to walk out if you're not into intelligent conversations, because there's nuance here. Part of the reason that you don't understand racism that well, to be honest with you, we don't understand it, is because people miss nuance. People don't understand racism at a really significant level. First off, I'm going to say this. I'm going to give you my perspective. I'm not real offended by what some old white man has to say about a syrup bottle. That ain't got nothing to do with me and my kids. That ain't got nothing to do with me and my life. That ain't got nothing to do with the fact that my homie got shot in the head when we were 25 years old. That ain't got nothing to do with what happened with my daddy not being there when I was born. That ain't got nothing to do with how much money I'm gonna get on my next paycheck or how I'm doing financially. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing to do. That's a comedian making a joke that perhaps could be seen as offensive or not offensive. I don't care what anybody thinks. Everybody has a right to their opinion. So that's the first thing I want to mention about that. The more interesting thing here is this. So people, when you talk about racism, I think that one of the things that I want you to consider is that when it comes to racism, there's the fake conversation and then there's the real conversation. The fake conversation and then the real conversation. The fake conversation is, I was so hurt and offended because I went to the grocery store and a white lady cut in line in front of me because I was Black. That hurt my feelings and made me sad. That's the fake conversation. That's the fake conversation. I really don't think, I think that we are inherently white supremacists when we spend the majority of our time worrying about what white people think about us or whether or not white people like us. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. I don't think that you're ever going to be able to adequately fight racism when your number one goal is to be accepted by the very same people that you claim are treating you in a discriminatory manner. Like, it's just like going to school and the bully's whooping your ass every morning, and you think that somehow you're going to stop the bullying by being friends with the bully, by giving him more of your lunch money than you did before. This has not worked. We've been trying this for 70 years. We've been trying this since the civil rights movement. You let them beat you upside the head until you were bleeding out of your skull. You let them pretty much put you in jobs that stress you out every day. A lot of y'all hate going to work because you have to work with people that don't like you. You've let them decimate your entire community. You voted in every single election loyally and faithfully. Like, you the faithful little hoe that shows up every time, even though you don't get that respect. You'll never be the housewife. You'll never be the spouse, but you showing up. We are the political and economic hoes. We are loyal to a fault. Give me a yes if you understand that Black people are loyal. They say them hoes ain't loyal. Well, we some loyal hoes when it comes to politics. We're some loyal hoes when it comes to economics. We spend 98% of our money with white folks since integration. We are loyal when it comes to even media. We will have conversations only when they are sanctioned by white people. We have to wait for CNN or MSNBC to talk about it before we start talking about it. Give me a yes if you know what I'm talking about. Black people, they will do stuff. They'll do, documentaries and stuff and talk about how loyal Black people have been. They're like, my God, if they'd done this to us, we would have killed everybody by now. But these Negroes, for some reason, a guy walked into their church and shot everybody up, and they were in the courtroom 2 days later begging God to forgive him. Right? These people are amazing. They fought for this country. They show up to work every day. They will buy our products, and we don't do anything for them. These are some wonderful people, right? This is what's interesting, because a lot of us forget that there's a difference between somebody liking you and somebody respecting you. Right? They like you because they don't respect you. They like you because they say, man, we wouldn't do the same thing. But hey, since you're willing to give us everything, even though we give you nothing, that sounds really good. Give me a yes if you know what I'm talking about. Any of you who've ever read books like Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, one of those great Black thinkers that gets ignored by many of the Black commentators that you see on TV, you'll know that we spend 98% of our money with white folks, and you complain about white folks every day. How the hell are you going to complain about them all day You must love them. I mean, you must love. I'm not saying that white people are bad. Just make this clear. I don't hate white people. I don't. But you must love white supremacy because you fund it with every nickel you got. You say, hey, take my money and then use my money to discriminate against me. That's what you do. In fact, let's just hop into this. Let's talk about the real conversation versus the fake conversation. The fake conversation is, oh, I'm upset because he said that black people make pancakes really well. Well, I mean, shit, pancakes are good. I think we make pancakes extremely well. I don't particularly see that as necessarily being the most offensive thing you could say about a black person, but hey, whatever, right? Whatever, right? So I'm gonna ask y'all a question. Let's do like it's kind of like a Rorschach test that the therapist does, and I'm going to ask you if you think these images are offensive. So we're going to do a little test. I want you to give me a yes or no if you think these images are offensive. Give me 1 second. I got to block a fake Boyce Watkins account out of here. There are fake Boyce Watkins accounts that'll hit you up in your inbox. So please do not talk to these people because they are scammers and they'll steal from you. So please be careful. All right. So let me pull this up. And by the way, I'll be in Los Angeles March 10th. If you want to join us for the 2-day Black Wealth Bootcamp, just go to BoyceWatkins.com. Also at BoyceWatkins.com, in addition to learning about the boot camp in LA, you can also learn about, I have a free lecture called How to Make Money Without Working. So feel free to take a look at that. Most rich people don't work for their money, and it's important that your kids understand these things. All right, so give me a yes or no. Do you think this was offensive, first off? Like, just this whole idea of what Stein said and everything else, like, does that offend you or does that not offend you? I'd be curious. All right. So then I want to ask you this. All right. So you've seen the image of Aunt Jemima, right? The image of the big black woman, right? So let me ask you this question. Does this image offend you? Yes or no? This is the old Aunt Jemima pancake image from probably 100 years ago or something. Let me know if does this image offend you? It offends me a little bit. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But then I want to ask you another question. Does this image offend you? I mean, if you talk about stereotypes of a big black woman, I mean, really, I'm not making fun of Lizzo. I promise you. I'm really actually supporting Lizzo by saying that this is interesting that the image of a big black woman on a syrup bottle is offensive, but the image of a big black woman drinking out of a liquor bottle is somehow empowering. Is that confusing to you all, or am I the only one who was born on another planet? Does that seem a little bit backward and weird? That will be offended by Aunt Jemima, who literally that's Big Mama. Tyler Perry plays Aunt Jemima in every single movie that he does. The big black woman in the kitchen who's kind of handling business. But a lot of us got that woman in our family, right? I'm not saying that it's okay. I'm not supporting the image of the Aunt Jemima, right? This image, absolutely. I mean, I can get it. I understand where you're coming from if you think this is a stereotype, for sure. But then when I see this, and if you're going to get offended by this, it seems to me like you'd also be offended by this. Why in the world do we think that this is degrading? A nice lady who's going to make you some pancakes, who loves you, who loves all the babies, even the white babies and the black babies, versus this. An equally big woman who's not making you pancakes, she's getting drunk so she can go have sex with a bunch of white guys. Now, again, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you what to think. I'm just trying to help you make it make sense. I'm asking you to help me make it make sense. So here are some other images. There's some. They gave Aunt Jemima a perm. That image. I don't like that. I think that obviously puts us in a box, right? And then they gave Aunt Jemima a perm, and then So my question is, like, you go from the images like this. Okay, if this is offensive, is that offensive? I mean, if you're talking about stereotypes and caricatures of black people, is that not a caricature of black people? There's nothing normal about this image. 10 million tattoos, dressed like a thug, 18,000 gold chains. Like, really. I mean, if you're talking about stereotypes and negative imagery of black people, would this not be offensive? Again, this is a Cardi B image. Cardi B, very talented artist. But remember, Joe Biden interviewed Cardi B. This is seen as empowering. So I'm just trying to figure out how we can argue on one hand that the Aunt Jemima imagery is offensive, and Ben Stein mentioning the Aunt Jemima imagery or supporting it in his weird, awkward way is offensive. But we don't think it's also equally offensive and equally racist when Joe Biden shows up and empowers Cardi B by he remember when Joe Biden ran for office, he ignored all the black scholars, he ignored all the black thinkers, he ignored all the black political scientists, and he went to interview Cardi B on behalf of the black community. So if you're offended by Ben Stein, it seems to me like you'd also be offended by the Cardi B. You know, that tongue ain't out there because she trying to eat ice cream. That tongue is out there because she talking about the WAP. So Ben Stein says, African Americans are excellent at making pancakes, which may or may not be true. My wife says I make some pretty damn good pancakes. That's one of my family specialties: pancakes and French toast and banana splits. That's all I'm allowed to cook. Everything, or allowed to make in the kitchen. Everything else my wife takes over because if I cook the regular food, I'm gonna kill everybody. But really, so Ben Stein says black people are good at making pancakes, which you can agree with that or not. Media says black people are good at making WAP, wet ass, you know what, right? Is that image offensive? Is that not a stereotypical image? Look at some of these images that they consistently support, and they empower these images as if that's a reflection of African American culture. So if I had a choice between something like this, which I don't like, I don't love this image. I mean, I'm not saying that you should sit here and love it. If I had a choice between this and these images, I don't know. I kind of feel like Aunt Jemima is probably on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of imagery that's offensive in terms of black people. And so here's the other thing too that's interesting. D.L. Hughley, who is a guy that I know, I saw D.L. In 2019 at Willie D's event. Willie D's my buddy. Willie D from the Ghetto Boys. He was in my wedding. Willie's my homeboy. I saw D.L. at Willie's event. And DL did a video where he was ranting about the hypocrisy of people calling out or not being offended by Ben Stein, but yet you went to ban Kyrie Irving and Kanye West, or you called other people anti-Semites, but you are silent when Ben Stein says he misses Aunt Jemima on a syrup bottle. And people cheer that on, right? They cheer that on because that is indoctrinated liberal thinking. That's just, that's what the Democrats want us to do, et cetera. And here's where I get off the bus now. I'm not going to disagree with what DL said. I agree 100%. You make Jewish people mad, you're going to pay for that, especially if you're in Hollywood and you're taking that certain money from certain people. But what I think that we have to do is be consistent and understand that a lot of the hypocrisy is also on that Democratic Party side. You can't tell me that Ben Stein is a racist and that Joe Biden is not. You can't tell me that it's okay, when Democrats offend us, but it's outrageous when Republicans offend us. That to me speaks to a type of bias that is not beneficial to the black community. And also remember, when you have these subtle, casual conversations, you're missing the real conversations. In fact, I'm gonna give you the real conversation on racism that you're missing by having these fake conversations. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, make sure you subscribe. This podcast you can look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify. You can find it there. Also, if you want to teach wealth to your kids, you can go check out our financial flashcards and financial workbooks for kids. You can just go to financialworkbooks.com. That's financialworkbooks.com. And also, we do free Powernomics training every Wednesday night in the Black Business School. If you'd like to join that, just go to blackkeystogreatness.com. It's right there on the screen. All right, so check this out. If you want to be offended, here's some things that offend me. Did you know that between 1970 and 2015, the percentage of black children living in single-parent homes has more than doubled from 25% to 59%? So your families are falling apart. In fact, since in 2015, black children were more than twice as likely as white children to live with a single parent. Now, again, it's not about assessing the blame. It's about sort of understanding that your families are worse off since integration than they were before integration. That's real racism. That's your real problem. Broken families, kids growing up without a daddy, kids growing up without a clue on how to succeed in this world. And then when they don't succeed, when they fail, when they lose, when they struggle, when they end up in prison, you act surprised and you say, oh, that's just racism. Yeah, it is just racism. But some of that racism is being perpetrated by you because you're not having the real conversations. Also, did you know that in 2017, the median wealth of black families was only 10% of the median wealth of white families? That's the real racism. They're taking your money. They're taking your wealth. So while they have you caught up in these dog whistle conversations about Ben Stein, they're still your money is being taken from you every single year. Black wealth keeps going down because of things like student loans and you work, becoming a servant to corporate America. Your children are dying in your communities. Urban violence is out of control. Thousands and thousands. Every time you get upset about one black man being killed by the cops because CNN told you that it's okay to be upset for him, there's little girls being shot in the hood. There's little boys being shot in the hood. There's thousands of black people dying in the hood that never make major media attention. Again, I'm just asking you to make it make sense. I'm just asking you to make it make sense. I can't. How can I cry for George Floyd? God bless him, right? How can I cry for one guy when I can't also cry for the 9-year-old girl who was shot in the same week as George Floyd and nobody cared about her story? You got to ask yourself. I need y'all to think. Why would the media focus all their energy on one guy and then ignore children, innocent children, not people that were messing with drugs or getting into situations with grown ass men? I'm talking about an 8-year-old on a damn tricycle or a bicycle. 8-year-olds don't ride tricycles. An 8-year-old on a bicycle gets hit with a stray bullet by some gangbanger thug, and you ain't even talking about that. But yet you expect me to cry with you when you're talking about this guy that got killed by the cops. I'm not sitting here saying that it's okay. I'm sitting here saying it don't make no sense to me. And if it don't make no sense, I don't care if there's 10 billion people that are going along with a certain narrative. I'm not built like that. I'm not a follower. I am a leader. I am not a person who on any level is going to follow the crowd just because that's what the crowd's doing. I will be that one black sheep, that one dumbass, that one asshole who's sitting over to the side saying, y'all crazy, man. This don't even make no sense. And the reason I have confidence in that is because you know that it ain't working. You know that all the people that claim to be fighting racism for you ain't really fighting it. Because if they were really fighting racism for you, your wealth would be equal to white wealth. If they were really fighting racism for you, your communities wouldn't be in shambles with little children being shot on their bicycles. If they were really fighting for racism for you, black boys wouldn't be 3 or 4 times more likely to be put in special ed than white kids. If they was really fighting for you, there wouldn't be 55 schools in Chicago, 55 schools in Chicago, 55 schools in Chicago where there's not one single child who is proficient at reading or writing or doing math at grade level. Did you hear what I just said? Did you hear what I just said? If you're really fighting racism, for real, if your racial champions were really fighting for you, do you really think, can you name one town on earth, one town anywhere where there's 55 schools in the same city full of white kids where not one single child can read, write, or do math at grade level? And if this does not bother you, then you are brain dead. You crazy, man. We are not the same if you don't see what I'm seeing. This is berserk. This is bananas. You're going to get mad about a syrup bottle, but you're not mad that 55 schools in Chicago do not have a single child that can read or do math at grade level? Do you understand what you're losing when they do that to you? They are sending an army of thousands and thousands, even millions of black children into the world who are going to fail. They're going to get caught up in the racism. They're going to get shot by the cops. They're going to end up in the penitentiary. They're going to end up dead. They're going to end up in poverty. They're going to end up in the unemployment line because you're getting outraged over the wrong stuff. You get mad over Ben Stein and a damn syrup bottle, but have nothing to say about the fact that your children are being destroyed like this by your so-called friends. That's crazy. You got a relative in the house that's molesting your babies, and you think Uncle Willie is your favorite family member. Let me just stop. Let me stop talking because I piss off the dummies when I talk like this. I make stupid people mad when I bring up facts. Some people get annoyed when they hear facts. And these are not Republican facts. These are not Democrat facts. These are, at best, these are black facts. And these are boys' facts. You do not have to agree with everything that I say, but you got to hear some of this. You got to at least hear it. I got my PhD 20 years ago, so I have not been a dumb person for a very long time. I've been pretty decently educated for a very long time. I've had analytical skills for probably longer than some of you have even been alive. So I'm not sitting here saying that I'm right about everything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying I gotta be right about something. I gotta be making some kind of a point in here somewhere that you can hear. It's crazy to me. Do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. I want to remind you, March 10th, I will be in Los Angeles. We're doing a 2-day Black Wealth Boot Camp. The focal point of the training, the 2-day intensive training that we're going to do, will be the new book I just wrote called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. These are 10 rules that are proven by economic science to work effectively well when it comes to the ability to make wealth and build wealth for your family that will last through multiple generations. So, if you are a person who has a group of people that you care about and you want to build wealth together, you are welcome to join me in Los Angeles. The information is at my website, boycewatkins.com. Also, if you want to get a copy of my book, you can also find out information there to get a copy. And also there's a training on that page called How to Make Money Without Working. I think that when you're talking about all this racial stuff, I think a lot of the politics is really theater. It's really just theater. I'm a mathematician. And as a mathematician, one of the things that we do as mathematicians is we solve problems. In mathematics, you cannot walk around and say that 2 plus 2 is 9 and expect people to believe you just because you said it on CNN. You can't run around and pretend like you solved the problem when you didn't really solve it, because someone will then check you and show you that you don't have the right solution. And so this is probably part of what you're hearing from me when I get very frustrated when the so-called champions of racism, the people that we claim are really fighting for racism or against racism, are not solving the problem. Tell me, give me a yes or no. Are Black families better off now than they were before integration? Yes or no? Most of your kids don't even have a daddy. In fact, it's so bad that many of you have been convinced that daddies are not necessary. The reason I can logically tell you that that makes no sense is because you would never say mothers aren't necessary. If a child grows up without a mother, it would not be hard for me to convince you that that child would probably end up somewhat abnormal or strained in certain areas without a mother. So for some reason though, you think that fathers are not necessary because they don't want your protector in the house, because it's the men who are the ones who stand up and call the BS half the damn time. It's the men. When Black men started talking more during the elections, first thing they did was complain about Black men. First thing they did was they hired Black women to go on TV and complain about Black men. And that only made us talk louder. When Ice Cube or other people stepped up and said, no, we're men, you're not going to keep screwing us, people got mad about that. So that's one of the reasons why they don't want your men around, because men get in the way when an oppressor is coming into your household and trying to take control of the woman and control of the children. That's what they want you to replace your husband or your man with Joe Biden. They want him to be the man of the house. Number two, the education has not gotten better for Black people since integration. If you ask me for my recommendation for anybody that can pull it off, I would say get your kids out of those damn schools. Those are poison factories. That's like feeding them Popeye's chicken for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every morning, and then being surprised when they grow up and have diabetes, heart disease, strokes, and heart attacks. Like, that's what you're doing. You're literally feeding them intellectual poison. Everybody debates and fights all day about whether they're going to teach critical race theory in public schools. I don't even participate in that debate because I don't even think we should be letting other people teach our children their history. I don't even think that other people who are not Black are even qualified to teach Black history. They would never let me into the synagogue to teach Jewish kids Jewish history. Give me a yes or no. They would never let me in the synagogue to be like, well, I'm going to make sure that all the Jewish children learn who they are. I'm going to help create Jewish. They ain't that stupid. They're not that stupid. They're like, no, we got to protect ourselves. God bless them. Again, that's where Kanye and I don't agree. Kanye's mad at the Jews. I said, man, I think that they're actually doing quite well. I actually want to learn from what they've been able to pull off in terms of protecting and defending their tiny community, using wealth as a weapon and as a shield to protect themselves. So at the end of the day, man, I just really think when you look around and you just see how everything's falling apart, look at your communities, look at the violence. And these communities are run by the people you're voting for. Don't you want anything in exchange for your vote? Or do you think that your vote should just be given away for free? Do you think, I mean, have you been pimped that badly that your goal is to just give it all up for free? And then you wonder why people think you're cheap. When you wonder why people don't value you when you can't even value yourself. You wonder why people think that you're easy and that you are a political slut when you're behaving that way. I'm sorry, you're going to have to earn. You're going to have to earn my money. You're going to have to earn my vote. You're going to earn the right to have access to my children. I ain't giving none of that up easy. This is mine. This belongs to me and my beautiful black wife. You ain't getting none of this without earning the right to have access to these things. So ultimately, I think with this conversation over, the Ben Stein thing and Aunt Jemima, do I think Aunt Jemima, his comments about Aunt Jemima being on the syrup bottle are offensive? I guess they are. But I think that the question to ask is, why do we care so much about what an old white man thinks? No disrespect to white. If you're white, I don't hate you. I promise you. But really, I don't care what you think about me, just like you don't care what I think about you. And then number two, um, again, if you pull up these images, right, and you pull up like this is a pretty offensive Aunt Jemima image. Like as far as offensive images, this will probably take the cake, right? This will be right there near the top, right? This image, this ain't a great image, right? But then it's funny to me how you can disapprove of this image, but then be okay with these other images of you and your people that the liberals will cheer on in a minute. They'll cheer on the image of the black woman as a hoe. They'll cheer on the image of the black man as a thug. They'll cheer on all these other images, and you mad because Ben Stein said that black people make good pancakes. Maybe we do. Shit, I like pancakes, but if we're gonna be offended by this, this big black woman making pancakes, then I would say that you probably, to be consistent, should be equally offended by this image of a big black woman drinking out of a liquor bottle. I know people get mad, again, because they're taught to cheer on this, but get mad about this. But I think at the end of the day, you got to understand, if you understand black history the way I understand black history, you'll understand that these images are actually the same. The only difference between the Lizzo Aunt Jemima stereotype and the original Aunt Jemima stereotype is that this is the mammy stereotype. Go look it up. This is the mammy stereotype. The image of the black woman is the big black lady in the kitchen that everybody loves. This is another big black lady. She brags about how big she is, right? But then also this is a Jezebel stereotype. This is the image of the black woman as a slut, right? That's the Jezebel stereotype. So what happens here in this image is that they have taken two stereotypes, the mammy and the Jezebel, and put them together. And you have been trained to believe that this is all empowering. This is not an empowering image. But if this is empowering, then you're also saying that this is empowering, and that any other image that them saying that black women are hoes, that's empowering too. I don't think any of that's true. I think black women are valuable. I think that black women are assets to the community. I think black women are worthy of respect. I don't think that black women are Aunt Jemimas and they're not Jezebels. So ultimately, if you can't have an intelligent conversation about it, then you're going to continue to be confused. You're going to continue to watch black wealth keep dropping. Ignorance is being celebrated and glorified. And watch my words. Watch what happens in the next 20 years. You're going to keep seeing black wealth go down and down and down every year. The same politicians will show up and say, oh, there's racism over here. There's racism over here. Nobody will be looking at the wealth. Nobody's going to be saying, well, why is black wealth lower in 2035 than it was in 2023? Like, no one's going to ask that question. They're going to say, oh, there's somebody who got shot by a cop over here. And we're all going to act like the racism's over there when the racism is right in front of you. But some of you will be smart. Some of you are going to move past the nonsense, and you're going to really take an honest reflection and say, what matters in my life? What in terms of quality of life for me and my children, what is really important? Sure, what happened on the news it's relevant, but it doesn't affect my ability to feed my kids. It doesn't affect my ability to have a place to live. It doesn't affect my ability to be physically and mentally healthy, right? So then you're going to start looking at a lot of other things, right? The smart people, what you're going to look at is you're going to look at things like the type of food that they feed you. Give me a yes or no if you understand the racism and even in the food. They promote fast food, unhealthy food to Black people more than anybody else. And then when you die of heart disease, strokes, diabetes, and cancer, they act like that's just part of the game. That's just part of life. You've actually been indoctrinated to believe that getting old, fat, and sick is just part of being Black. And then, so what is interesting to me is that um, you don't understand that this can all be prevented. Exercise and diet, can make a big difference in your life. But because you just believe that being old, fat, and sick is part of being Black, you expect Big Mama to get her toe cut off when she's, 60 years old. You expect these things. This is normal to you, right? When you don't realize that the racism comes in the fact that they're promoting food and liquor to you, even drugs. They're promoting drugs to you now in the music. And then next thing you know, you're dead. But then they get you focused on COVID. They get you really thinking. I mean, the pandemic was fascinating to me because they really had Black people scared of COVID, but you ain't scared of diabetes. They got you scared of the virus, but you're not scared of strokes and heart attacks that are happening far more than the virus ever did. Again, people died from the virus. I'm not saying the virus wasn't real, but process this. For every one person that died from the virus, I bet you there was 100 Black people that died from strokes, diabetes, heart attacks, cancer, kidney disease, all these other things that come literally from the food that you're eating every day, right? Again, you got to make it make sense. And this is the area where I get very, very sad because here's the thing. I don't have time to argue with an idiot. I'm not going to argue. If you're stupid, if you're a dumbass in the chat making dumbass comments, you're wasting your energy because I'm probably not even going to read it because I gave up on this false idea that if I explain it logically, most people are going to understand. I gave up on that. I used to believe I would argue. I say, well, if you really talk to people and you tell them the truth, they're going to get it, blah, blah, blah. I've learned, I've given up on that. I can't do that. So what I'm preaching to the choir. I'm really not so much trying to convince a dummy to stop being stupid. If you determine to be stupid and if you believe whatever they're telling you on CNN, then go believe that. Go keep living that life. I hope that works out for you. I don't think it's going to, but maybe it will. Maybe I'm the wrong one, right? I'm here to talk to people that kind of understand. I'm here talking to people that want to break generational curses, not continue to follow them. I'm here to talk to people that want to be open-minded to realize that if the old solution is not working, you've got to try something new. Again, I'm a mathematician and a strategist. So in mathematics, if you keep trying to solve a problem in the same way and it doesn't work out, if you're doing a differential equation and you keep putting the wrong variables in and it doesn't work and you do it 50 times, then somebody will say, well, why don't you try something different? Why don't you try a different approach? Right? So I'm saying, I think as Black people, we have to try a different approach. Right? Again, so if you want to look at the racism, here's a few key areas to pay attention to in terms of things that affect the quality of your life. Because I can guarantee you this much. If you can wake up every morning and feel like a free Black man or a free Black woman where you ain't worried about what white people are doing down the street, and you ain't worried about financial insecurity because somebody decided to fire you because you Black, and you ain't worried about stuff that's happening in places that where you don't live and your kids are good and your kids are safe, then you're doing pretty well. You're pretty much living Dr. King's dream. Maybe that's not, I don't know if that was Dr. King's dream because he talked about little white girls and little Black boys holding hands. I'm not disrespecting that. I'm just saying that was never a dream of mine. But to me, the dream is peace. To me, the dream is happiness. To me, the dream is security, right? So if you want to look at some areas where you can stamp out the racism in your life, first area you got to look at is the food. What food are you eating? When they're promoting Popeye's chicken to you and putting the Popeye's chicken in every hood in America and getting you to give yourself refried diabetes every day, are you resisting that and saying, I'm not going to eat the same things that my parents and grandparents ate? I'm going to eat something different. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to live a different lifestyle so I don't die in my 40s or 50s the way they did. Another area, are you looking at family structure? Do you have an understanding? Give me a yes if you understand that every single study, I have a PhD in finance. Y'all know this. I know it sounds like I'm bragging, but I got to say this because I have people that think that I'm just some man on the internet yapping. No, I'm a scientist. I've studied these things for 30 years. So I didn't just get my PhD yesterday. I got it 20 years ago. And so if you look at family structure, that every study I've ever seen shows that basically when your family structures are broken, it's almost impossible to build significant amounts of wealth. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It doesn't mean it's not possible. It's just like having one arm doesn't mean you can't play basketball. Right? There's a one-arm basketball player in the McDonald's All-Star game who killed it. He's really good, but having one arm makes it really hard to play basketball. It doesn't mean you can't play though. It just means that most people with one arm are not going to be making it to the NBA All-Star game, okay? So ultimately, your family structure, who you pick to have children with, instead of splattering your seed and having a bunch of babies mamas or letting any dude, any thug, plant his seed in your body, and next thing you know, your baby's being raised by some horrible man, right? That your family structure is critically important to your ability to build wealth, because if you connect with builders, then you can build. Right. So, for example, when we come to LA for the Black Wealth Boot Camp, one of the things I want you to do, if you decide to fly in, which I guarantee it'll be worth it, is connect with other builders, connect with like-minded people, connect with people who think like you, so that you can build together and you have the same objective, right? Because everybody doesn't think this way. Number three, if you're looking for racism, I would look around and look at in terms of on a political level. I think that the violence in urban communities is out of control. It makes me very sad that I live in Chicago, and every single week there are dozens of children getting shot, and none of these situations are making national news. I have been very confused about why, Tyrone being shot by the cops in Alabama is national news, but little Shaquanda, who got shot by, in the head by a thug when she was on her tricycle, that didn't make national news. That tells me the bias of the media. Again, I've been on CNN more times than I can count. I've been on MSNBC, Fox News. I've been on all the networks. Why did I stop doing that? I stopped doing that because during the Obama presidency, I realized this is a propaganda machine. They're just lying to people. They're making stuff up. They have an agenda. This is driven by corporate money. It's driven by government money. It's chaotic. In fact, I don't know if any of y'all noticed a lot of the Merck commercials. I was listening to Merck commercials on urban radio, and they were like, make sure your children get their shots, right? And it was a Black woman's voice that was doing this, right? And I was like, wow, that's interesting. They have Black people they're still on this whole like get your shots thing. And you know what shot I'm talking about. I don't want to say the V word because the YouTube bans that word sometimes, right? So, but you know what I'm talking about. And in fact, I was gonna go to an event, and I noticed it was too much trouble because they were having everybody to even come into the event. This was this week, to even come into this government event. Every single person in the audience had to file in a national database whether they got their shots or not, right? And I was like, y'all still on that stuff? That's crazy to me. So anyway, couple more areas to look at racism. If you really want to fix it, if you really want to overcome racism, if you really want to solve the problem, then this is a couple more areas to look at. You got to look at wealth. And here's the thing: white people exist, and racist white people do exist. But when it comes to the wealth thing, there's not a single white man I know who can stop you from doing the things you need to do to build wealth. You got to stop yourself. People are always going to try to manipulate you if you are easily manipulated. Corporate America is always going to try to manipulate you if you're stupid. The government is always going to try to manipulate you to serve their own interests. Politicians, God bless them. That's what they do. They play with your head. They're pimping 101. So it's really up to you to decide if you're going to be manipulated or not. You cannot expect the manipulator to decide to stop manipulating you if you are so much of a sucker that you fall for it every damn time. Why would they stop manipulating you if you've made yourself into such an easy mark? Do you understand what I'm saying? Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. I know I'm talking a lot here, but I got to get this out. I got to make sure I break this down for those of you that are really trying to understand it. So I don't ever expect politicians, corporate America, or government to stop manipulating you. If you continuously believe in the American track that is laid out for Black people, that turns you into servants for corporate America, then they're going to continue to lay that track out. They're going to continuously push that to you. They're going to continuously try to get you to get your children on that track. The track is very simple. Put your kids in public school so we can indoctrinate them for 12 years. We're not going to properly educate them at the things that they need to know. We're going to educate them on a bunch of Eurocentric nonsense. And then we're going to make sure your child gets out of school with just enough reading level for them to come and work for us or whatever. And if they're lucky, maybe they can even come to one of our universities and give us all of your family wealth. So all those years, you're being miseducated. You're given the wrong Black history, if any at all. And then a big chunk of those kids are going to come out of school, can't even read. That right there is a loss for the Black community. You lost $1 trillion right there because all these little kids who could have been, economic saviors to the community, billionaires, millionaires, doctors, lawyers, and scientists are now out here just confused. They sitting on Instagram looking at their favorite rapper twerking every day or whatever because they never were trained to think on a higher level, right? So that right there, when they steal your children, they're stealing your wealth. When they steal your children, they're stealing your wealth. And they also are stealing your power because they know that they can control the minds of your children when they come right out of the womb. Then the kids ain't going to be no problem later on. They do not want 10 million Boyce Watkinses in America. Imagine if there were 10 million Black boys who think just like me. Can you imagine how much trouble that would be for the government? I mean, I am so much trouble for these people that I tried to visit a penitentiary. I tried to go and visit a guy in Chicago who got 14 life sentences for dealing dope to just support him. And they did not let me in that prison for a year. And it wasn't because I have a criminal record. It wasn't because I was trying to sneak a gun into the prison. It wasn't because I bust a cap in somebody's ass. It was because I was smart. It was because I was smart and I'm not afraid of them. And I understand the system. Do you understand that should explain to you how intelligent, independent thinking is a threat to these people, to the people that want to oppress you? They don't like that. They don't like people. When they see people like me coming, they get very upset. That's why I will never be invited to come speak at your child's school, because when your child hears from me, they're going to wake up in a way that they can't go back to sleep. They're going to see the world in a way that they can't go back. You can't go back to being stupid when you've been given an opportunity to be smart. When you've seen the light, when you've seen clarity, you can't go back to the darkness. When you know what freedom looks like, slavery is not appealing anymore, right? You're not fit for slavery. So ultimately, that's the goal. Get them in the public school so we can indoctrinate them and miseducate them or leave them uneducated. Then send them to college so they can go so deep in debt that they will always have to work for us for the rest of their lives. That's called corporate sharecropping. That's just like what they did with the sharecroppers, that you put somebody deep enough in debt. If they're deep enough indebted to you, then you always own them. You always have some on them. It's a type of financial blackmail. It's like blackmail is where somebody got something on you and they control you for life, kind of like Al Sharpton, how they got him on that whole situation. This is all documented. You can go watch it. This is not me making this up. Where they caught him on that charge where he was trying to sell drugs to the FBI agent, and then ever since then he's been in real good with the government. No, I'm just laying it out here. This is just a fact. Look it up. Go Google it. Don't trust me. Go Google it. Okay. So ultimately, you put them so deep in debt that they have to come work for us because we need workers, and Black people are the most loyal people out here, right? And then next thing you know, you're churning away, and also you have no skills for escape. So just like a slave who didn't leave the plantation because you don't know how to get through the woods, and you don't know how to follow the North Star, you don't have anywhere to go. Well, corporate slavery works the same way. If you don't have any skill on how to start a business, how to invest, how to get into real estate, none of that, all you know how to do is do a certain job, then you're going to be stuck at that job, especially if you're deep in debt. So then you're just going to work yourself into an early grave because the whole time you're being hit with these bullets of racism. Every day you go to work, it's microaggression, mistreatment, people talking down to you, people disrespecting you, your boss talking to you any old kind of way because he knows you ain't got nowhere to go. And then next thing you know, you realize at 75 years old that you have worked your butt off your whole entire life. You have nothing to show for it. Your student loans ain't even paid off, and you in your 70s. Your children have nothing. You have nothing to pass to your kids because you can't pass your kids a job, right? You have no assets. You have no understanding of how the economic system works. All this could have been solved. I need y'all to understand this. All this could have been solved with about 2 to 3 weeks of exposure to understanding the economic system. I'm not kidding you. About 80% of the problems that Black people face when it comes to racism and mistreatment and all this stuff, a lot of that can be solved by understanding economics and how to make your money in a way that doesn't require you to become somebody's slave. So, and I didn't even talk about the educational system that much. I was going to mention another area in terms of the racism, but I've already overtalked it. I've already talked long enough, and but I really hope that you will consider looking for the real problem, figuring that out on your own, not letting society tell you what you should be outraged about, but letting you tell you what you should be outraged about. Get up and look at your life. Just get up and look at your life. Look at your life. Look at your family. Look at your situation and say, okay, this is the stuff that pisses me off. This is the stuff that I'm thinking about every day. And turn off the damn internet. Turn off the news. Stop getting caught up in these national debates that are nothing but entertainment. These news outlets, the way they make their money is by getting viewership so they can sell their viewership to corporate sponsors. That's why whenever they can lay out a dog whistle, they know Black people respond to perceived racism in a really dramatic way. You are the top viewers of these major networks. Tyler Perry built his whole billion-dollar empire off the fact that Black people watch too much damn TV. Oprah Winfrey, when she was struggling with her new network, when she created OWN, they were going down for a long time until she started partnering with Tyler Perry and creating Black shows, because they said, well, Black people, they're loyal. They're going to watch a lot of TV. They're going to sit around and watch and consume entertainment. Every study by Nielsen is the company that actually helps corporations make money by advertising their products. Every study by Nielsen basically says Black people watch more TV than everybody else, and they're also more hypnotized by celebrities than everybody else. So ultimately, what I would encourage you to do is turn some of that stuff off. Turn it off. Focus on yourself. Focus on your family. And stop worrying about what white people think about you. You know, I really don't think you're going to get anywhere by proving to that old toothless lady down the street that you're not the N-word that she said you are. Who cares what she thinks? So anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's what I believe, and I'm sticking to it. So anyway, I want to say thank you all for listening to me this morning. I appreciate it. I'm going to be on the Black Financial Channel a little bit later, doing some analysis on the stock market and what's happening there. So if that's your thing, because believe me, there is a lot of opportunity right now in the stock market, and you guys know that's what my doctorate's in. My dissertation was written on the stock market, so I love to analyze it and break down what's going on. And so if you'd like to follow on the Black Financial Channel, just go to theblackfinancialchannel.com. And anyway, my name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I will see you guys in Los Angeles, March 10th. For the Black Wealth Bootcamp, 2 days of intense training on my new book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. These are 10 simple rules that if you apply them accurately, your family will remember you for the next 100 years. I guarantee it, because building wealth in America is very, very easy. Don't believe any of these politicians, but maybe it seems easy to me because I just understand it. This is what I do. This is what I know. And I'd love to work with you on that. So feel free to join us in Los Angeles, March 10th. And if you can't make it, you can also go to boycewatkins.com. Check out our financial flashcards for children, our financial workbooks. We also have, there's a training there called How to Make Money Without Working. So feel free to go take a look at that. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good day. God bless you. Thank you for listening. And also, if you ever want to listen to this podcast on in your car, on your headphones, just go to Spotify, look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful day. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.